Greetings, pro wrestling fans, and thank you for joining us at the Pro Wrestling LookBack Podcast. I'm Nick, and I'm sitting here with... just me. We're going to give this a try. This might be a little bit of a bombshell, but... Well, I did the little intro there on the special Mike D, Kevin Owens episode, so we'll see if I can handle it. Boys are busy this week. Shout out to Younger. Shout out to Don. You know, they couldn't make it, but the show must go on. You know, it's episode 40 of the Roundtable, Pro Wrestling LookBack Podcast. If you don't already... go hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at PWLookBack on both of those. Send us DMs for questions for roundtable topics. You can choose championship lookbacks, potentially. I don't know, talk to Donovan about that one, maybe. Possible lookbacks for the future. We just want to get in contact with you guys, communicate. Let us know what you think about the show. Head over to iTunes if you don't already. Hit the 5 stars. We appreciate that. We want to get those, get the ratings up. Usual stuff. Head over to YouTube as well. Hit subscribe. We'd appreciate that. Check out some of the videos we got over there. And Podbean, Spotify, that's where you can get all the episodes. Comment, subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. We appreciate it. If you want to get in contact with us any other way, you can send us an email, prowrestlinglookback@gmail.com. If you want to get yourself a tank top, t-shirt, sticker, I want to make a backpack. So let me know if anybody's interested in a backpack, because that's something I want. So maybe we'll put that up there. But yeah, teespring.com/prowrestlinglookback. And you can, if you want, you can follow us on Twitter as well, at Salsa, SCELSA is mine, at JustDon44, and at ZJVY93 for Donovan and Younger. But yeah, I don't know, might be a little bit of a shorter episode this week. We'll see how it goes with me running it solo. I wish my name was Don, because Don Solo just sounds better, but Nick Solo will have to work. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to get into a little bit of some Raptors stuff because, we have to. It's Toronto, and this is a big fucking deal in the city, so we got to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to get into some NXT TakeOver stuff, the normal Formula 1 update, as, I talked about on previous episodes. I'm heading down to Montreal for the race this weekend. I'm also going to talk a little bit about SmackDown and Raw, a tiny bit, as well as some of the Saudi Arabia show that's happening kind of today, I guess, as the show is released. But, I'm going to get into all this kind of stuff. I don't know where I should start. I think Raptors, honestly, fucking congratulations, boys. Like, geez, they're up 2-0 in the series against the friggin' Mercedes of the NHL or of the NBA and the absolute just dominant force that is the Golden State Warriors. So, congrats to them for being up so far, 2-1 in the series. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but game 4 is coming up Friday night. So I guess tonight, if you're listening to the show. Or yesterday, if you're listening later, but yeah, I just want to say congrats to them in the going up 2-1 against a dominant team like the Warriors, and everything that went down with Lowry last night, and kind of getting pushed by the owner, and the fine. I think he was fined $500,000, and he's not allowed to attend any more NBA games or Warriors kind of outside the stadium type of events, because I guess he's a part owner, part shareholder of the Warriors, so. They banned him for 1 year, fined him $5,000 or $500,000, and don't push the NBA players, folks, because not everybody's got $500,000 to shell out. Not that they'd be fining everybody that much, but either way, it's not something you want to get involved with by any means. But yeah, so let's go Raptors. We'll see if we can keep it going. Bring that NBA championship up to Canada for the first time. That would be all right, eh? Eh? No, I don't know. What else? Dean. No, his name's not Dean. John Moxley. IWGP US champion. Wow. Beats Juice Robinson. I didn't see the match, but from what I saw on Instagram and all kinds of, websites, PW Torch, shout out to them, and all the other, websites out there that provide information for stuff that we can't get our hands on and maybe don't have the time to watch. Congrats to Dean Ambrose. That's fucking awesome, man. I gotta be honest, though. If you go back and listen to some of the roundtables, this is not something that I thought I was going to see in the future. I did not think we would see a Dean Ambrose in a New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that was, I said it because of the wife situation and the family and the being overseas. Maybe this isn't something that he's going to spend most of his time in Japan. I don't know. I would imagine not, seeing as how he's signed to AEW, and I don't know how their deals work with different people being signed to different companies, but either way, I think it's pretty cool that right away we've got John Moxley going out and winning the IWGP United States Championship from Juice Robinson. So we'll see what happens going forward with all of that stuff. But again, those are kind of just some congratulations to the Raptors being up and John Moxley there winning the IWGP United States Championship. NXT TakeOver. NXT TakeOver 25. I guess they didn't want to, I can't remember the name of the city that it was in there, but I guess they didn't want to use the name. I don't know. I'm curious about that, but TakeOver 25 rolls off the tongue, and it is, celebrating the 25th TakeOver, and it's a big deal. NXT has really grown and become something that's, I don't think anybody would have expected it to become when it first started, obviously, as a, developmental type thing. Well, prior to that, I guess it was kind of like a reality show, whatever Daniel Bryan was doing back then, right? So, it's awesome to see 25 takeovers. I've watched maybe half of them, but I don't know. We'll get into kind of the matches and the show itself. I want to say, this show was incredible. And it's not, it's the best fucking show because it's indie wrestling. No, for one, it's not indie wrestling, but two, it was short. It wasn't 7 hours. It wasn't 8 hours. It wasn't 5 hours. It wasn't even 4 hours. It might have been 4 hours. Either way, it ended at 9:30 at night, which is not something I'm used to doing or seeing or experiencing when I watch a pro wrestling show, especially one that's put on by WWE. So kudos to them for, putting out a show that started around 7 for the pre-show and ended by 9:30. It's 5 tight matches, all, different in their own way. And I guess we'll get into it. If anybody's a listener of the Taz show, I'm not trying to steal the gimmick, but we all need some fucking water. So, give me 1 second here. There you go. That's my water break music. Sorry, we'll try to not make that happen too often, but I'm all here by myself and I got to get hydrated throughout the show. It's 6 minutes in, I already need water. I don't know how it's going to go, but like I said, NXT TakeOver. We'll start, I guess, with the stuff that was on the card. The pre-show was Keith Lee versus Kona Reeves. He defeated Kona Reeves in a singles match, as well as Mia Yim defeating Bianca Belair, which is cool to, see them progressing storylines and always fitting people onto the shows. But the show opened with a match between Matt Riddle and Roderick Strong. I got to be completely honest with you. I didn't see most of this match. They kind of caught me off guard. I was happy in the end because the show ended earlier, but I didn't think the show was starting quite this early either. So kind of missed most of this one, but 14 minutes, 45 seconds. From what I've heard, shout out to Mike D. He told me this match was incredible. I saw some of the spots at the end, but I was kind of just getting ready to sit down and start watching it, so I missed some of that stuff. But I got some stuff to talk about Matt Riddle later, but I think it was cool that we finally got to see Roddy really kind of stretch his legs, I guess you could say, on the main roster, doing his own match, his own type of singles match, if you guys know what I mean. Excuse me. But yeah, either way, I heard nothing but good things about this match. Might be one that I have to go back and watch. Maybe, we'll see. I don't know. But either way, shout out to these guys for having a killer opening match to NXT TakeOver 25. The next one was a tag team match. Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford, Jesus Murphy. Oney Larkin, Danny Burch, the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and the Forgotten Sons, Wesley Blake and Steve Cutler. This one, I got to be completely honest with you guys, fucking blew my doors off because I was not expecting, this isn't my style of match. I prefer, something similar. We'll get to it. The Velveteen and Tyler Breeze, or even the main event with Cole and Gargano was fucking incredible. But these guys really, they turned the volume up in a different way because it was a tag team 4-way ladder match, which we've seen many of in the past. But I like the fact that they stuck to ladders. They weren't using chairs and tables and kendo sticks and the kitchen sink and the stop sign and fucking everything else you could possibly think of. It was just ladders. They stuck with ladders, and some of the spots in this match were just outstanding. The athleticism I'm not even sure. I got to be honest, I don't watch enough NXT to know specifically which one it was, but whether it was Angelo Dawkins or Montez Ford, I think it was Montez Ford, but some of the athleticism from this guy jumping all over the place. And the final spot to end the match with, I believe it was one of the Forgotten Sons climbing up the ladder to retrieve the title. I could be wrong on that one. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, he jumped, kind of did like a springboard from the back right-hand corner, I guess, of the ring, and jumped and landed on the top, more or less the top of the ladder. He only had to take one step to reach the fucking title. So I thought that was really cool. It kind of blew me away in the sense, like, I wasn't expecting, to see the Street Profits win. First of all, I was kind of more expecting maybe a Forgotten Sons or a Undisputed Era, since these guys are some of the more, top, quote-unquote, top teams in NXT. I don't know. It turned out to be pretty fucking amazing, though, and congrats to the Street Profits. We'll see what they can do with the titles going forward. Hopefully that they're on NXT television a lot. I mean, it's only an hour show, but being the champions, they probably will be. I think it's cool to note that these guys won this was their first takeover. They won the championship on a takeover that was their first takeover, which I don't know how many wrestlers in NXT have come through and won championships on their first takeover. Maybe a Drew McIntyre. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But either way, it's a big deal to have two guys make their NXT takeover debut and win the tag team championship. So shout out to them. Another great match. Like I said, I wasn't expecting this one to be off the chain incredible. I was expecting a bit of a spot fest, and it was. Don't get me wrong, but I liked it. It was a good spot fest, and it wasn't too much. I loved the spot where if I knew his name, I'd give it to you, but I don't. The third member of the Forgotten Sons, when he kind of came down and proceeded to beat everyone up and then no-sell all the moves that they did back to him. That took me by surprise, but that is what it is, I guess. We had, everybody else, the other three teams all tag team together to join forces to beat him up with a ladder and throw him out of the ring, and then they all started fighting each other again. Cool spot. Definitely a cool spot. But like I said, overall, it blew me out of the water as far as being a tag team fatal four-way ladder match that I might not have been, with some teams that, let's be honest, these guys haven't been hyped up the way some of the other teams. This is not War Raiders and Undisputed and American Alpha, and not that they're relevant in NXT anymore, but you know what I mean. It's not the most relevant top teams in NXT, but this is what's left, and this is my favorite part about NXT, not to spend too much time on this, but is the developmental. I like that this at some points, because it's becoming a bit of the super indies, but that might change with AEW and other companies, MLW growing, Impact even, but it's becoming more super indies. But like I said, it used to be more developmental. These guys would come in, whether it's, not that I'm a huge fan either, but a Baron Corbin or even a Roman Reigns. These guys would come from other avenues, other sports, other forms of entertainment. Look at Alexa Bliss. Look at Becky Lynch. These people that tried other different things and came back into wrestling and made their way through the Performance Center. We all know Becky Lynch is a fantastic wrestler, but would she be the wrestler she is if she didn't come through the NXT training facility at the Performance Center and all the coaching there? And obviously it's a given with Alexa Bliss. She was more or less a newcomer when she came into WWE. So I don't know. It's great to see. I love NXT for that. I love the building of new superstars and them being able to hone their craft somewhere where it's very similar to WWE, but not quite as many eyeballs on them. So I don't know if I'm going too long on that, but like I said, great tag team match, and congrats to the Street Profits. All right, more water. Sorry, guys. Velveteen Dream versus Tyler Breeze. This was my favorite match of the night. And no, it wasn't the, 5-star, 4.5-star classic that Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole put on in the main event. But it was different. This to me is more about, maybe not more wrestling, I don't know if I should use that word, but this is a more character-driven feud. These guys, as soon as you heard rumblings that Tyler Breeze could be going back down to NXT, I'm sure most people were thinking, is he going to fight Velveteen? What's he doing back down there? Velveteen seems like the perfect kind of, challenger. They're both pretty. They're both Prince Pretty is his name, whatever. You know what I mean? They both have that gimmick where they love themselves. They're both, in a way, I guess Tyler Breeze is that his character is a male model, but Velveteen, similar Prince type. You know what I'm getting at? Their characters are very similar, and it's one of those things where you want to see how these two characters are going to interact with each other. And we got a little bit of it on NXT when I think Tyler Breeze came out, or it might have been Velveteen that came out and interrupted. I can't remember who was out there first, but they had a bit of a back and forth, and it was good. Tyler Breeze didn't have much to, as far as comebacks, but I like that they've tweaked his gear a little bit. He doesn't have, and it's not that I hated the frilly stuff on his boots and his old gear, but I like that they're kind of tweaking it. He's got the cut hair. He dropped the selfie stick, but he's kept the phone and still doing the selfie, but he just doesn't have the selfie stick. The selfie stick was very, 2014, 15, 16 when he was breaking into this character, when he was creating this character. So it's cool to see that Tyler Breeze has come along and, found a way to change his character and make it a little bit more relevant in a 2019 against a Velveteen Dream, asking to take selfies, on NXT before the TakeOver match. And like I said, I was excited to see the different characters crossing paths here, and they delivered, man. Both of their entrances were kind of lackluster, I guess you could say. I think it's because we're expecting so much from Velveteen's entrances at this point, with the "Call Me Up Vince" on his pants and the being carried out on a chair throne thing by 4 other dudes last time. And I don't know, his gear was very basic, just kind of shiny gold, and Tyler Breeze just did his normal entrance with, shout out to Tyler Breeze, because the guy sings his own fucking entrance music, and that is, there's only a couple guys, and John Cena and a few other people that do that. So I think it's awesome when you can go 100% into your character, like he did with this in NXT, and obviously it's the same music that he had back then, but I just think, it's awesome when you can put that much effort into, not only your fucking gear and your music and your hair and your stuff, but you're I'm going to sing my fucking song. So shout out to Tyler Breeze for that one. I'll give him one of these if I can, but yeah, so basically, like I said, these two coming together was kind of just a clashing of styles, two characters that you're not expecting to see. And no, they didn't put on a 5-star classic, but this was a good wrestling match. It wasn't so good that the main event was thinking, oh shit, how the fuck are we going to follow that? Or Shayna Baszler coming out, how are we going to follow that? But it was good enough that it drew you in. You bought into the fact that, hey, Tyler Breeze could win this. Triple H, I think, talked about how Tyler Breeze is an NXT regular, not he's not here on loan. So when you hear something like that, it's more believable, like, oh, maybe this guy could win. And I got to be honest with you, I was bought into the fact that he could have won that match wholeheartedly. I thought maybe this is, a reinvigorating moment for Tyler Breeze, and he's going to win the North American title and maybe feud Velveteen going forward and drop it back to Velveteen. Who knows? But I was bought in, so they did their job there. DM me, let me know. Anybody listening to the show, I'm curious what you guys thought of this match. Was it your favorite match on the card? Was it your least favorite match on the card? Are you a fan of these characters, Tyler Breeze and Velveteen, or is it not really your style and you're more interested in more of the tougher wrestling style type characters? But yeah, so the finish of the match was a bit wonky. It was kind of weird. The ref went out for a second, I believe, and then there was the belt. Tyler Breeze grabbed the belt not to use it. He was grabbing it away from somebody, and then I think threw it out. I'm totally lost right now as far as the end of the match. When I can't even really remember how it finished. I just remember the belt was involved, and it wasn't super clean. It was more of a distraction win. So it seemed heelish. It seemed like they were trying to put some kind of heat on Velveteen, which is fine, especially if this is going to go forward. But then the match ends, and Tyler Breeze is asking for the selfie that they talked about on NXT prior, which makes sense. They're coming full circle, but I don't understand. If he had beat you clean, 1, 2, 3, sure. Go back in the ring, shake his hand, take the selfie. You're a better man. You beat me. But there was a bit of chicanery with, like I said, I can't remember, but there was a bit of chicanery in the sense that there was a belt and a ref looking the other way and a distraction and Tyler throwing the belt away and turning around and getting attacked. So it wasn't exactly something where you're, the better man won and you're going in the ring and you're shaking his hand and giving him his props for what he did. That being said, it's professional wrestling, and I think they're both kind of baby faces, so we didn't really, maybe WWE, not we, but them, maybe they didn't want to, portray Velveteen in too much of a heel way because they know it's just not going to work. This guy's too much of a baby face. He's too over. He's too popular. So, I don't know. It's overall, like I said, probably my personal favorite match of the night on the card, but overall, just a really good match. But like I said, DM me, let me know. I'm curious what you guys thought about this match as well. Next one, Shayna Baszler versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. I gotta be honest though, guys, I wasn't too impressed with this one. I'm kind of just, I know they're doing the whole Shayna push thing, dominant heel, nobody can beat her, but I'm kind of just over it. I feel like we've had Io Shirai maybe challenge her before. I don't know if it was her. I could be wrong, but her winning these matches consistently with the chokehold that she does, I can't remember if she's got a specific name for it. Again, sorry guys, I'm not a super frequent NXT watcher, but I do not miss the takeovers because why would you? They're fucking amazing. And I gotta get back watching more NXT. I really do. But I don't know. I don't have much to say about this one. The last match, by the way, too, Velveteen and Breeze was 16 minutes, 50 seconds. But this one, 12 minutes, 15 seconds. It was a buffer in between, in my opinion, the two best matches of the night between Velveteen and Breeze and Cole and Gargano. So it was a tough spot for them to be in. You can't blame them for that. But overall, I just think Shayna Baszler needs some more real competition. Not to say that Io Shirai isn't real competition, but she needs to be treated that way, and maybe they need to portray her in more of a way that is like that. Leading into the end of the match, I mean, like I said, she won with the chokehold as per usual, the tap out and all that. But we had Io Shirai after the match attack her with a kendo stick, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I thought she was supposed to be a babyface. So I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, this is a bit strange. Is she gonna join up with some other heel, or is she just pissed off because she lost? But that's not very good. If that you're kind of a poor sport if you're attacking, just because you tapped out, you lost fair and square. It seems pretty, self-explanatory to me. What? Like I said, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I don't know. That's what they were going for. So obviously, we'll see what happens with Io Shirai going forward, whether this means that maybe she gets called up to the main roster. I don't know. Probably not, since, Kairi Sane got called up with Asuka a month ago, and they did a couple matches in a tag team with Paige, and where the fuck are they? Who knows? But, so I kind of hope she doesn't get called up. Let her, maybe she's going to be a heel. Maybe that's what they'll do, and they'll transition her, and they'll have her go attack some other babyface, and she can, I don't know, maybe make her way back to Baszler at one point, or at some point, but I'm not really sure. It's got that written all over it, in my opinion. I'm kind of over this Baszler title reign. I'm ready to see what she can do on the main roster, to be completely honest. But, yeah, we'll get to it. I guess I'll make it all main event for you guys. The top match here, man. This was a big one. Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT Championship. 32 minutes flat. One of the better matches I think that's happened in NXT in the last couple years at least. Not to put anything down on it. Maybe in professional wrestling, I don't want to get too overplayed here, but this was just a good match. This is one of those things where when you're trying to explain, and I've used this example before, but when you're trying to explain pro wrestling to somebody that isn't maybe a consistent watcher, or maybe they're a casual fan, or not, maybe they don't even watch at all. But this is something where you say, no, if you can just watch these two guys here fight each other and buy in, and you believe that everything they're doing in this universe here is real, just like I've said on many other shows in the past, the same way when you watch Star Wars, you believe that a lightsaber's real, or when you watch fucking Spider-Man, you believe that Spider-Man is real. When we watch wrestling, we believe that this stuff is happening. We believe that these punches are not giving them black eyes, and stupid, that's a bad example, but we believe that, you can take 10 punches to the face, or you can take a move and get back up, or a finisher is more devastating than maybe a regular transitional move. And the match, I bought in. I don't know where else to go, but other than the fact that, because obviously, as you can tell, I'm not getting into much of the spots, and it's just more my thoughts on the match and why certain stuff happened. But I just bought in. I was watching this, and I think the 32 minutes passed by, and I was like, holy shit. And I was like, where did the half an hour go? Because that was amazing. And I'm happy that, I love doing the look back and all kinds of stuff like that, but when I'm constantly taking notes, it's tougher for me to fully engage in some of the matches. And with this, the whole show, I really watched, I feel like I barely even looked at my phone that night, which in 2019 is a fucking accomplishment. So that alone, shout out to these guys. And I don't know, I'm by myself and I've done it fucking 4 times, but this show, man, just incredible. With the show ending at 9:30, that might have been one of my favorite things that they did. But I think this match really capped off the whole show. And maybe if this match wasn't quite as good, or if this match didn't happen, if it was a different match, the show might not have been as good as I thought it was. But I think with, like I said, the 5 matches being structured the way they were and the placement that they were in was fucking outstanding. To have a singles, the tag, singles, women's, singles, it was just perfect. And they don't throw in triple threats and fatal 4-ways just to get people on the card in NXT. Like I said 25 minutes ago, look at the Street Profits, and it's their first NXT TakeOver, and they're winning a championship. So back to winning a championship, Mr. Adam Cole, congratulations, sir, because I've never been your biggest fan. I've never really, fully bought into you as a character, and it's the size. Dude, this guy might be one of the best people on the microphone, and one day I hope we get to see Kevin Owens versus Adam Cole, because I want to see that microphone battle. But he is small. For me, it's, you see a guy like a Finn Balor, and that's kind of pushing it. You know what I mean? He's big, but he's not quite a little guy. He's still jacked, still pretty strong. Cole doesn't really have that. He's got the character down pat, 100%. He might have one of the better characters in the company, especially when he's got his boys around with him. But as far as a size comparison, has never been somebody that I could fully buy into. That being said, against Johnny Gargano in the main event of TakeOver 25 here, I mean, Johnny Gargano's not a big guy, so that maybe had something to do with it as far as me being able to fully buy in. But fuck, did I ever buy into this one, ladies and gentlemen, because like I said, I watched it for 32 minutes and didn't even realize that the match had ended, or didn't realize how much time had passed by when the match had ended. So, congrats to him on winning his first NXT championship. It's not something I would have guaranteed in the past. If you had asked me, I wouldn't have guaranteed that he would have been an NXT champion one day. So it's kudos to him for doing that. And now we get to Johnny, though. What's happening with Johnny? Is he the Sasha Banks of the NXT men's division? Is he winning titles and dropping them quick, or? Because I don't know, man. That's the North American he's lost. I think, was he a tag team champion at one point too? Yeah, he was, obviously, with DIY. But those he held for a while. And little side note, check out our Instagram for a sweet picture of NXT TakeOver Toronto 2016. DIY versus the Revival match of the year. Dope shot and dope match. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. But yeah, Johnny. I guess we'll see what the hell goes forward, what's going to happen with this guy on NXT, or if he's going to be on NXT. I kind of think it's the wrong time to call him up, since, well, we don't really know what's happening with ratings and the wild card rules, and everything's kind of a bit of foggy right now on the main roster. So I feel like it's probably not the best time to call this guy up. But at the same time, is he going to sit down in NXT and challenge Cole again? I don't think that's what they're getting at. I'm sure they got another babyface in the line coming for Cole, whether it's somebody like a Keith Lee, and, whether we can buy into that match, that's a whole different discussion. I'm sure we can, but either way, what the fuck is Gargano going to do now going forward? I think they're going to probably call him up, probably not use him a whole lot, as bad as that sounds, and hopefully do something, and this maybe will sound weird, but something similar to an Aleister Black. And I don't mean, stick him in a polo or a dress-up button-up shirt and put him backstage with a light on him and make him cut dark, demonic promos. I mean, let the guy build his character and let him tell the wrestling fans who he is, what he is, why he's here, where he's came from, and why he's not in NXT anymore. And maybe not the last one, but either way, let's find out who Johnny Gargano is, because, off topic, but what they've been doing with Aleister Black on SmackDown has been fucking incredible. And I'm hoping that this leads to something, because they're allowing him to speak, they're allowing him to tell his story, per se, and it's working. So let's see if Johnny Gargano can do that on the main roster, hopefully, if that's what happens with him and he gets called up. But like I said, this show as a whole was amazing. I enjoyed all of it. I talked about it 3 times now. It ended at 9:30, which was incredible, to not have to, be, dozing by 11 or 12 when the show was ending, when it's a Mania or a SummerSlam or something big like that. Not that this is a direct comparison, but I don't know. I thought it was fucking amazing. And I guess before I take a move on to the next topic, was this better than Double or Nothing? I want to know. Younger, if you're listening, let me know. Donovan, you too, man. I'm curious because, in my opinion, this was significantly better than Double or Nothing. And it's not because, I'm a WWE guy. It just was. It was a tighter knit show. If you gave me the last hour of Double or Nothing, you gave me those final 3 or 4 matches, sure, maybe that's different. But Double or Nothing to me now, you can't even compare it to NXT. You're going to be comparing it to WWE in the length of those shows and the the lack of tightness, if that's a term, you know what I mean? The NXT shows are just so tight and perfect and well-rounded. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you know what I mean. They work. The short show, 3.5 hours, 2.5. Well, I think it's 3.5, close to maybe 4 hours. I don't know. They work. So I think personally, NXT TakeOver 25 was a significantly better show than Double or Nothing. That being said as well, though, Double or Nothing, this was their first AEW event. I'm not putting the bar too high for these guys. They're just starting. As much as, All In was the same guys, it wasn't. It was, help funded by ROH and Liberty, not Liberty Media, that's Formula One, we'll get to that later. St. Clair Broadcasting, sorry, that's the one. And, they helped fund that show, and they had money from those guys to help. This is all them and Tony Khan, and this is an AEW event. We will look back in 10 to 15 years and say, what was the first AEW event? This is it. And the matches on this card were fucking amazing. So, between Dustin and Cody and the Bucks match and the main event with Jericho and Moxley making a surprise, it's amazing. Like, I'm not trying to discard or, that's not a word, put down Double or Nothing, but I just think we need to acknowledge the fact of how good this takeover was and how good NXT takeovers are in general. Yeah, so I think that's it for NXT takeover stuff. I don't know what you guys want me to get on to next, but I had a little something. I don't do this every week. I'm not a big shout-out guy. Well, I guess I am, depending on how many shows you've listened to, but there's a few podcasts, and anybody listening to this, I'm sure you've already checked it out, but for the random maybe one person or two people out there that maybe haven't, the Jon Moxley interview with Chris Jericho, we talked about it for probably an hour, me and Donovan, last week. If you haven't listened to it and you're interested in WWE and it's something that, makes the gears turn in your head and you like the creative process and you want to know, what kind of stuff happens behind the scenes there, go listen to this fucking interview. Because it's incredible. It's very insightful. It's very honest. It's very, thought-provoking. It's a great interview. And if you love it, and for the people that might not know about this, who have, listened to the Jon Moxley and Jericho interview, go check out Wade Keller. I know I talk about him too much on the show, but he interviewed Jon Moxley in a 2-part series, and this guy's been doing journalism since 1987, so it's not his first rodeo. He didn't go in there and ask John a bunch of questions that Chris Jericho asked and have, the same conversation. It's a completely different interview. They talk about some of the similar stuff. He might bring up some of the stuff that was spoken about on Jericho's podcast, but, they go into a lot more detail about, the Brock Lesnar stuff with WrestleMania 32 and all the little quirks and quicks and little, I don't know if those are words either, but you know what I mean. All the little things that weren't touched on in the Chris Jericho interview were touched on in the Wade Keller, Jon Moxley interview. And he says at the end of it, he's like, I'm done now. This is it. I'm done with the bashing the company, and I want to move on. I'm going forward. And, go listen to it, guys, because like I said, it was good. It was definitely worth the listen. For anybody that was a big Double or Nothing fan, go check out Wrestling Soup. I loved their show this week with just kind of their Wrestling Soup post-show. It turned out really good, and I don't know. It was... I like the fact that they're not, I don't know how to say this. I like AEW and I want to see them succeed and I'm hoping that they do well, but these guys aren't just assuming that it's going to be the greatest company and it's number one and it's going to put WWE in the ground. No, hold your horses. We'll see what happens. And I like people who can kind of have that mentality, like, let's maybe take a step back and watch and look at some of this stuff and see, what's going to happen. Not necessarily just assume all of, the best stuff that's going to happen. But the only other one I wanted you guys to check out, Oh, no, like I already said, the John Moxley interview. And then our boys there over, I don't know how many times they shouted out us, but I don't care. It's all good. They provide some good shit over there in New York City. Shout out to them, the 20 by 20 podcast, Nathan McFly, Shice, SM2, and LP Dangerously. I like that show, and those guys are good. So, and one more podcast, too. I don't know if anybody's curious, but go check out For the Fear of Silence. It's kind of a family friend that I know, and Toronto local type show. So they get into some pretty thought-provoking stuff on that show as well. So it's definitely, a good listen. But I don't know. I don't do this every show, but I figured it was just cool tonight to kind of give some love to some of the other podcasts out there in the world. They're all doing good shit, and we're here every week doing some stuff as well. So we appreciate anybody who's taken a listen to our shows. Like I said at the beginning, subscribe, like, share. We appreciate all that stuff. But I had another little cool kind of draft pick AEW question. I heard this on a show I listened to, and I was like, you know what? That's a good question. And I got some ideas for wrestlers that I think would be in that category as well. So, again, send me a DM. And the boys, if you're listening, Don, Young, send me a DM. I want to know yours, and maybe we'll talk about it next week on 41 if you guys are here, which I hope you are. Tell me some wrestlers. Pretend hypothetical here. AEW's an expansion team, and they get to select one wrestler from each of these 4 companies. And those companies are not allowed to protect the wrestler, but they're allowed, they have to be switched over to AEW, similar to like a Las Vegas Knights when they came into the NHL and they were able to select a player from each of the teams that was unprotected. So let's hypothetically go down that road, and let's see who Nick or me, I don't know why I'm talking in the third person, but who I chose for this little draft pick thing. So I'm thinking from WWE, they already got John Moxley, and realistically, I could give you 15 fucking names, 20 names that could probably do better than they're doing in WWE over in AEW. But for the sake of this, I'm going to keep it to 1, except for the ROH. We'll get there, and I'll explain why. But I'm going with Ricochet, and that's because he had the little tag team Aleister Black thing, whatever, flipping around the ring, and it was fine. He's having his matches now with Cesaro. Do we honestly think they're going to treat Ricochet the way Ricochet should be treated? I don't. I want them to. And, Mike D, if you're listening, bro, let me know, because you've seen a lot more of this guy than me. So I want to know, what's some of the best stuff he's had that maybe I haven't seen, because I love this guy, and I just want to watch more of his matches. First time I saw him was in Lucha Underground Season 1, Prince Puma, The Mask, and everything. So I've seen what this guy can do, outside of WWE. And even in NXT, yeah, sure, he had some great spots. And, he was, was he the first? No, I think he was the second, North American champion. But I really just don't think that his run with WWE has been anywhere it should be, or anything that anywhere that anybody expected it to be. And I don't know, I just don't fully agree with it. As much as I'm a big raw WWE guy, I think if I had to take a guy out of WWE who I think will probably exceed any expectations they have for him and excel past anything they were planning on doing with him in WWE, that's Ricochet. As far as NXT goes, again, how many guys could we take in Adam Cole? A bunch of guys. So many different people you could take out of here. The reason I think Adam Cole is probably the one that's jumping to everybody's mind, but there's 2 reasons. One, is he bringing all the boys? Because if he's coming by himself, I don't know if it's the same. And 2, as much as I maybe haven't, given Adam Cole the best due, and I haven't acted like an Adam Cole fan or been a big fan, I'm curious to see what he does. I at least want to see him make a shot on the main roster and see what they think about him, because like I said earlier, this guy can fucking talk. He can speak on the microphone with the best of them. So if he shows somebody like Vince, or Triple H knows, but, some of the writers in WWE, if he shows them that, maybe they'll do something with him, that isn't chasing R-Truth down at the mall to win the 247 title, because that's where, realistically, as horrible as it is to say, that's where I've kind of got him slotted. I don't think they're going to treat him significant, and that's only because I think once Vince and some of these people backstage get a look at him, they're going to say, what do you mean? We can't put him against Lars or even Baron Corbin. It's just not going to look believable. But I'm coming around, and if I'm coming around, guys, I feel like almost anybody can come around on Adam Cole. But as much as I've talked about him, he's not my pick. My pick from NXT to go to AEW in the draft would be one Matt Riddle. And I know it might sound crazy for me to say that, but I'm picking him because he hasn't made that jump yet. And I think aside from Brock Lesnar, there's no matches in WWE that I'm itching that I have to see. Maybe a Goldberg after what I seen him. He got blocked by Goldberg on Twitter this week, and I don't know what that's all about. But Matt Riddle, man, I think he would gel really good with the guys that are over in AEW. And I think he's a guy that, obviously with the weed and everything, he needs to have a little more freedom in what he can do. Not to say he can't stop smoking. I don't even know the situation there, but I just mean he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that is going to mold into what you want him to be. He's going to mold into what he wants to be. So with that being said, going to AEW, he's going to have more freedom to create a character or continue this character, the way he wants and not the way Vince or Kevin Dunn or anybody backstage, writers, are going to portray him on the main roster when he does, make his debut. Obviously, I'm assuming he will make his debut in NXT. This is a very hypothetical situation, or in WWE, this is a very hypothetical situation, but you never know. And like I said, the only match that I'm really itching to see right now off the top of my head is Brock Lesnar, and that's just because he's hyped it up so well that it's made me want to see it. So yeah, Matt Riddle would definitely be my pick to go over to AEW from NXT. From Impact, I only picked 4 here: WWE, NXT, TNA / Impact, whatever you want to call it. I guess it's Impact nowadays. Don't get mad, but I'm picking Scarlett Bordeaux. And the reason I'm picking Scarlett Bordeaux, is it Bordeaux or Boudreaux? I don't know. I think it's Bordeaux, like the wine. But the reason I'm picking her is because I think they need that bombshell type lady in AEW. They need that woman that's a smoke show that, I guess that's her gimmick too, the smoke show but she can still wrestle. I've seen some of this girl, going around, and obviously, don't get me wrong, I'm sure she's getting booked on a lot of these indie events because of, the fact that she is a smoke show. But I think there's potential here for her to really become a big star, maybe even in WWE one day. Who knows with how, risque they get. But she would be my pick as far as coming over from Impact. And I mean, if it's a package deal with Killer Cross, obviously that's a given. But if I can only take one, it's probably her. As much as maybe LAX coming over would be dope too. But I just think, bringing her over brings some female star power over to AEW. Not that they don't have it now, but I think they've got more of that hardcore wrestling fan wrestler, like Tasha Blanchard? I don't know. Oh my God, I can't remember her fucking name. But either way, you know what I'm getting at. Like those Sasha Banks, Bayley, those girls that are known more for their wrestling than they are for their looks. And I think that in 2019, why not have a little bit of both? Like, why can't you have somebody like a Scarlett Bordeaux who, like I said, can wrestle, as well as these women that are, maybe not so sexy or so risque, like I said, or whatever the term may be. I think it's better to have that melding of the both of them on AEW. Why not? It would just work out great. Last but not least, ROH. This one was tough. I kind of had to look through the roster and kind of skim through. And this is what I was saying, where, I picked one person for all of them. And this one I kind of had to pick more than one. And it's not because I think more than one of them need to come over. It's because 2 of these 3 guys that I wrote down, let's be honest, they're going to be there eventually. So I didn't really want to include them, but I still wanted to put them down as, let's say if they weren't such good buddies with the elite or in the elite, then maybe they wouldn't be going. So that's Marty Scurll, obviously, and Flip Gordon. 2 guys that are fucking outstanding, probably 2 of close to the top talent in ROH. I've seen both of them live. Actually, no, I'm lying. I've never seen Marty live. But Flip Gordon's amazing in the ring. I like his style. I like his gear. I like all of it. I like the little hat with the flip guy doing the flips and it says flip. I don't know. It's cool. I like his character. He's a guy, actually, I wouldn't mind seeing in WWE as well, because I feel like the creative process there might do something with him. Keyword might. That's kind of, on the right path for his career. But anyway, Marty Scurll, Flip Gordon, kind of the 2 givens that I would say come from ROH over to AEW. But if I'm taking a real ROH guy, and I know you're out there, Mike D, I hope you're listening, but I'm going with Jonathan Gresham. And I know this guy is, 4'0" or 5'1" or whatever the fuck he is, and he's tiny as hell. but maybe integrate that into part of his gimmick in AEW, and that becomes part of what he does there, and him being a smaller guy is part of the gimmick, and maybe he beats some ultra big guys with some of his submission and some of his hardcore wrestling that the guy does. I've seen this guy live, and he can fucking wrestle, man. As little and small as he is, he can fucking go. He can go. So yeah, those are kind of my picks, I guess, for the cool fantasy draft fun. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's kind of just like a lottery for AEW if AEW were allowed to select some wrestlers from WWE, NXT, ROH, and Impact. Again, like I said, I want to get the boys' opinions of that one too, and maybe we'll bring that up next week on episode 41. With all that, Formula One update. Here we go. Oh man, I've been saying it for weeks, but I'm heading to Montreal this weekend. The race is in Canada. This is probably one of my favorite things about Formula One is that they go to a different country every race. It's so cool. I just think traveling the globe and being a international race star, obviously just like WWE, it's probably one of the reasons I love WWE so much is the fact that they're literally a global brand, a global company. And I like big stuff like that when it's the top. Same reason I love Formula One is the same reason I love WWE. This is the pinnacle of each of those professions. And yeah, we'll get there with AEW in a few months or years, but for now, these are the top, brands for each of their respective sports or entertainment, I guess you could say. But the update, as of right now, I said it last week as well, Hamilton's at 120 points, Bottas with 82, and Verstappen with 78. Vettel with 78, my bad. And Power Heavy Circuit, this track, I don't know, again, I talk about it every week, but if you guys aren't enjoying the Formula One update, let me know. It's just something I figured I can talk for hours about, so why not integrate it into this roundtable random talk discussion show that we have, even though it's kind of just a single table today. But so Power Heavy Circuit in Montreal, long straightaways and little chicanes, which are kind of just like little right-left, kind of to slow you down in a way. But the track is full of those, so it's kind of little mini straightaways and a big long straightaway, all attached by these chicanes, as well as a hairpin turn down at the other end of the circuit, opposite of the finish line. But I don't know, anybody who is interested in Formula One, whether you're from Canada or anywhere in the world, if you're listening, go check out your local race, whatever race is closest to you. If you have the funds and the means to do that, check it out. Excuse me. Water break Jones again. Sorry, guys. Cool little thing to bring up. Nicholas Latifi is a Formula 2 driver. He's going to be sitting in the Williams car, which is probably one of the worst cars in the grid, but it doesn't matter. This guy gets to drive a Formula 1 car, and that's pretty awesome. So, good for him for being able to sit in for FP1 again and get some time in a Formula 1 car. I'd like to see this guy maybe make the jump to Formula 1, whether it's next year or the year after, but to have two Canadians in the sport, I would be happy as fuck. You can't even put words into explain how cool that would be for the country of Canada. But Ferrari this week, they need to do something big, man, because Mercedes is bringing an engine upgrade as much as they maybe don't even need it on a power-heavy circuit and a season that they've dominated so far. Ferrari needs to win in Canada. They won last year when I was there. It's the last two seasons I went was 2017, and Lewis from Mercedes kind of dominated the entire weekend and ran away with it. And then the following year in 2018, it was kind of the reverse with Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari dominating and kind of just taking over the entire weekend or race or whatever you want to call it. Well, I guess it was a race. But I just want to know, man, can they get back on the podium? Can they finish in second? Can they win a race? They got to win something coming up here soon. So, I don't know. We'll wait and see. I don't want to talk too bad about Ferrari. I mean, my dad's a big Ferrari fan, and I liked Ferrari when I was younger, Schumacher and stuff. But I just want to see them do well, and I want to see some competition going forward. If we're not going to get, Ferrari winning and competing with Mercedes all year, then I want to at least have a battle between Lewis and Bottas, the two Mercedes drivers, going head-to-head all year. McLaren Renault. They're probably the biggest turnaround. I don't know if I've ever talked about them on the Formula One update, but probably the biggest turnaround from a team as far as, teams go and switching from being a lower end, shittier kind of bottom of the pack team last season and the seasons prior when they were with Honda, making the switch over to Renault now last season and I guess working out the kinks. And best of the rest right now, they're kind of in fourth place right there under Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. So let's see if they can keep going with the improvements that they've made and maybe get a good result here, and maybe a double points finish in Canada would be ideal for McLaren. I know that would be something that they would obviously love to see, especially with the unfortunate, Fernando not making the Indy 500 and that being such a big, something that they were planning to do for 6 months, something, a year they had planned that out, longer, hired, Bob Fernley from Force India and gotten people in there to get ready for the Indy, and then were unable to qualify. So, it's good to see some positivity coming out of McLaren with the better season that they are having here in 2019. Will Red Bull challenge Ferrari and Mercedes? I don't know about this. We'll see, I guess. It's a power-heavy circuit, and the Honda engine's great, but they're more of an aero team, and they seem to do better at the Monaco, Singapore, and, some of these more aero-dependent circuits, like obviously last week with Vettel or Verstappen being, on Lewis's ass for 60 laps. I don't know. We'll see. Pierre Gasly's got to, I've talked about it before, but Pierre Gasly's got to step it up. Whether it's, I don't expect them to beat his teammate Max Verstappen in qualifying, but you got to do something to put yourself at least, a spot behind him or a spot under him, or put in a faster lap at some point in some of these sessions, because he's a good race driver, but I just think, talked about it before, he was pushed up into Red Bull too quick with Daniel Ricciardo leaving and going over to Renault and him getting called up. It just happened, I think, a little too quickly, but yeah, I don't know. I got a few other things written down. I guess Williams will be lacking at the back this weekend, man. I feel bad for, shout out to all the Polish people that I work with, but, Phil, shout out to Phil, big racing fan. He'll be watching. I know next year we'll probably be going, so shout out to him for that. But Kubica too, Kubica and Williams. I feel bad because it's one of those things where, people really wanted to see Kubica make his comeback. One of the guys that I'm going with, Dan and Nico, this weekend to the race, Dan, one of the reasons he was coming to this race was once he found out Kubica was racing, all right, let's go. We got to see this. We got to see the comeback. We got to see him. So it's unfortunate to see him, putting around at the back of the grid in a car that, he can't do anything with other than race his teammate, who unfortunately is kind of, beating him in every race that they have. So I'd like to see Williams maybe not finish in last place in Canada, but as far as what I actually think is going to happen with the power-heavy circuit and them struggling, with their car and the aero and the chassis. And I know they've got a Mercedes engine, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be a good weekend for Williams. We'll see what Kubica does, though, with this being the first time, he's back at Canada. He had that major crash in 2007, rolling the car, flipping it over, and all kinds of stuff. If you've never seen it, look up Robert Kubica 2007 Montreal Grand Prix, and you'll be like, holy shit, how is this guy still in a race car? And that wasn't even the crash that put him out of racing. And then, like I was getting to, he came back the following year in 2008 and won the race, the first and only win for BMW Sauber. So, it's definitely somewhere, a track that's got a close place in his heart and in his mind, and somewhere that I'm sure he wants to do well at. So we'll see how they do there. It is a street track, it's kind of like a combination street track, regular track. I don't really know what you'd call it. Part of it is used for road, street cars throughout the year. It's on an island in the middle of Montreal. Well, not in the middle, but off to the side there, skirts of Montreal. You got to take a subway or a boat to get there, or there's a few bridges, obviously, but either way, it's a bit different. And I just wanted to bring up the fact that it's a street track because these are my favorite. I love Singapore, Monaco, Montreal, Azerbaijan. I love the street tracks. Don't get me wrong. I don't want all street tracks. We need to have a nice mixture of flowing circuits and all different types, but street tracks are definitely one of my favorite. Leading into next weekend, or I guess the next race, not next weekend, but France. Only the second time they've been here in a row in the last 15 or 20 years, I'd say. I think it's roughly 20 years, but I know they raced here in the 90s. It's a fun track. I've done it in the video games, in the simulations. it's a very flowing track, and if you've ever seen pictures of it from the TV, they got these blue lines and red lines, it's a test track. So these lines are there to if you go off, there's a lot of runoff area, which I'm really not a fan of. But if you go off the track, then you hit this blue paint and it slows you down, and then the red paint slows you down even more. So it's kind of cool visually, I guess, but I've always been a bigger fan, like I said, of the street tracks. But where you make a mistake and you're in the wall, opposed to somewhere like France where you make a mistake and you're sliding off on the blue and red paint. Not my favorite, but still a really good track. And who knows, it probably will produce some great racing. There's a really nice passing opportunity. I don't know the turn number, but it's on the back straight, a left-hand turn, and you can make a lot of passes going into there. So, pretty excited for the race this weekend and to get out to Montreal in Canada. Canada, I'm already in Canada, but to get out to Montreal, take the train down and watch some Formula One cars. Definitely more excited to go next year, though, when I can go for the whole fucking week or the whole weekend. This is a bit of a different one, just going for the one day, but either way, we're going there for the race, which is the reason that everybody's there, and it should definitely be a good time. All right, well, if you're listening to this show on Friday, I don't know when you got a chance to, but I'm going to give you some quick Saudi predictions, and I was going to give you a bunch of highlights from Raw and SmackDown, but I don't even know. I mean, we're already at an hour almost, and I guess I can give you some of the stuff. I don't know. This week's Raw and SmackDown were not ideal, but one thing I do want to highlight, honestly, and don't start throwing garbage at me if this is an indication of a wrestling promo. I don't know what I'm getting at there, but basically, don't get mad at me. But I think the 24/7 title might be one of my favorite things in professional wrestling right now. Yeah, I'm going to let that one hang there. Just let it hang. Yeah. I honestly, this 24/7 title, I love the little things. I love that they're keeping it relevant and it's entertaining. And maybe I have a little bit too much Vince in me and I find this stuff funny. But the video of R-Truth at the golf course, he's golfing with Carmella and then he gets attacked by Jinder out of nowhere and he pinned 1, 2, 3 and Jinder wins the title and then Carmella kicks him and then he rolls him up again and R-Truth wins the title back. Jumps on top of the golf cart and drives away. Like, I don't know. I thought that was hilarious. What's not to like about this, in my opinion, other than the fact that Jinder's wearing his fucking wrestling gear at a golf course? Tell me where or why this makes any sense. I got no fucking idea. But either way, I liked the segment. And then on Raw this week, in the main event, there was after the match between Cesaro and Ricochet, I believe it was. Cesaro lost, and he was all mad, and he went to grab a ladder. He put the ladder away, and then he went over to the side of the ring and grabbed a table. And he was just had the edge of the table. And then when he goes to, obviously anybody who saw this knows what's going to happen, but when he goes to pull out the table, R-Truth is laying on the table as if he's been hiding from everybody under the ring all night, which, I don't know, made me pop. Again, maybe I'm got too much Vince humor in me, but I thought this stuff was fucking great. I think what they're doing with the 24/7 title, it just works, and I hope they keep doing the flip-flop stuff where the title keeps getting flipped all over the place. I really enjoy it. But yeah, so R-Truth, I want to talk a little bit more about it here. R-Truth was on SmackDown, and Shane McMahon said that he was going to be in a match, like an actual match with a referee and a normal. Okay, all right, that's fine. I mean, I am a wrestler, so he goes out to the ring for his match, and there's all the mid-carders that all fight for the 24/7 title are all around the ring. And it's kind of just a lumberjack match. They announced that it's a lumberjack match. It's for the title, and then the title stipulation, you can't win the title during the match. You have to wait till the match is over. Elias beats him in, I want to say, 45 seconds, maybe a minute if I'm stretching it. So Elias, two-time, I guess, 24/7 champion, raises the title, and then obviously all the lumberjacks go to stand up on the apron. They go in, they attack him. I thought this was awesome. I don't know why I'm commentating it all beat for beat, but basically R-Truth and Elias, like everybody was fighting in the ring, and R-Truth and Elias bumped into each other outside the ring, and R-Truth rolled him up quick for a 1, 2, 3. Again, I don't know why I'm forgetting this. All I remember is the awesome spot with Drake Maverick when R-Truth had won the belt and rolled into the ring with Carmella, and then Drake finally got him. And I said this to Donovan on a phone call this week. I love what Drake Maverick is doing. because in my opinion at least, and it's not like I have some fucking insider knowledge, but I think he's 100% with this. This is, they're deciding, okay, you're going to be on TV, in 3 or 4 segments a week. We're going to have you on SmackDown. We're going to have you on Raw, and you're not doing the GM thing as much, or if he is, maybe I don't watch as much 205 Live, so I don't know. But obviously he's not busy with Akam and Razor doing the tag team stuff, so he's going 100%. He's made his own T-shirt, Maverick 247, which obviously isn't for sale on Shop, I don't think, and this is something that he's done. I see it on his Instagram. He went and printed himself a bunch of stickers, and he's posting them. So it's not a big deal, but when I see a wrestler taking that extra mile and going the extra mile and putting the effort in to maybe get noticed, or, hey, they're using me, so what can I do for them to use me even more and get pushed, and what's going to happen going forward? I don't know. I like the stuff that Drake Maverick is doing. I don't know if I should hit it again, but there it is. Why not? Another applause for Drake Maverick. Maybe too many applauses tonight, but yeah, so he gets hit with super kick by Carmella. His papers go flying everywhere, and then R-Truth and Carmella storm off. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the rest of SmackDown this week. We had, I guess SmackDown and Raw. We had Undertaker appearance on Raw at the end of Raw, digging souls and burying people and doing his thing. And it was really weird, and I feel like maybe he went a little bit too long because he got his line out and they cut that TV right to fucking Sportsnet or USA Network for you guys in the States. Whatever's on after Raw was like immediately after he said, Goldberg's next. It's Undertaker. I mean, I hope this is the main event. I'll get to it in a second with the Saudi preview or whatever I'm going to do. I'll give you my predictions quickly. But, and then we got Goldberg on SmackDown coming out, talking a lot of shit, basically saying, I'm not bringing the family man, I'm bringing Goldberg, and smiling and laughing. And then the bell goes off, obviously, lights go out. We weren't expecting Undertaker on SmackDown, so to see him pop up was obviously cool, and it's his, he is a SmackDown guy from what we remember. And, the face-to-face between the two of them was good. It was definitely an epic moment. It might be 10 or 15 years too late, but I still look at it in the sense that these are still characters. It's still a TV show, and as much as maybe they might not have the match that they had 10 years ago, we're still going to get the character Goldberg against the character Undertaker, and that has to speak for something. It's got to say something about what we're going to get here. At the show, which, like I said, the show's either you've already watched it maybe, or it's taking place right now, or depending on when you're checking out this episode of the Roundtable. But I'll move in. I'm going to give you some quick predictions, and then I'm going to get out of here. Okay, we'll start with the top, and we might as well work our way down. Saudi Arabia predictions: Goldberg versus Undertaker. I'm going with Undertaker. It's got to be Undertaker. I feel like this is leading towards a retirement match down the line, whether it's Mania 36 or 36? I think we just had 35, right? Yeah, so 36 down the line. I don't know. We'll see. Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin. I'm going to go Seth Rollins, but then what the fuck's going to happen with Brock Lesnar? I'll see you Friday. I'll see you Friday. Hey, I'll see you Friday. I don't know. We'll fucking see. We'll see him on Friday. We'll see him today or yesterday or whenever you're listening. But I'm picking Seth, and then we'll see what happens with Brock and the cash-in. I don't know. But as far as Seth and Baron Corbin goes, Seth Rollins. Kofi Kingston and Dolph. Is it anybody but Kofi, really? Like, I'm sorry, Dolph. The story's been good that you've told, and it should have been me. And I actually don't mind some of these promos, other than the one this week on SmackDown where it sounded like you guys were literally arguing about how you got booked on TV. Let's talk about how you wrestled, not how you were fucking chosen to be portrayed on the TV show. But that's just my own opinion. I don't know why I'm saying this one now, but Lars versus the Lucha House Party. Pretty self-explanatory here. I think Lars is going to destroy the fuck out of them. And shout out to him because he did a great job on this week with his interview. Wade Keller brought up something on his show, and I was like, yeah, not that I would know, but that's a good point. He kind of said, like, you could have taken that exact promo and everything they did right there and plopped that into 1975, and it would have fit perfectly, or 78 or 79, and it would have just been a heel promo in the territory. So the ability by him, to go out and cut an awesome promo like that was good on the spot, live on television. But not only that, the confidence from whether it's Vince or Kevin Dunn or, like I said, Triple H, whoever's backstage, the writers, the confidence to be able to allow him to go out there and cut that promo, kudos to them for that, because he actually did a really good job with it. I don't know if this one's going to be the main event, but fuck it, we'll squeeze it in right here. Triple H versus Randy Orton. I would have been more excited for this if they gave us more than, one segment on Raw and SmackDown with, talking about how big Triple H's balls are. It's not, I laughed on Raw, don't get me wrong. It was funny, I guess, but we all know that this means nothing. Like, I think the reason I don't care is because I know as soon as that 1, 2, 3 hits, then this is done. This is over. We're not going to hear about this on SmackDown. We're not going to hear about this on Raw. It's done. It's over. It's for the Saudi Crown Prince and, the Blood Money show, and it is what it is. But going forward, Roman Reigns versus Shane McMahon. I'm going to say Roman maybe, unless Shane pulls some more chicanery. Shane has got some weird wins in the last, few months going into Mania, post-Mania. So I'm going to say Roman to be safe and, put Shane down for a bit now. But at the same time, I could totally see Roman getting screwed over and losing this match. Finn Balor versus Andrade. I don't really have much to say about this one. I kind of forgot it was happening until I looked at the match card. And I think it's the Demon. I don't know if that's because he's not allowed to wear the colors when he goes over there, so you might as well make him the Demon. And if that's the case, then fuck, that's one more thing we can add to the list of shitty things that goes on here at the Saudi show. But yeah, I'm going to pick Finn Balor. I don't think he's going to drop the title. If he does drop it, I could see him losing it to somebody like an Andrade to give Andrade more of a chance, more of a push, more of an opportunity, whatever you want to call it. But I don't know. We'll see. Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley. I don't know if this is all based off the fucking arm wrestling match that they had last week on Raw or this week, but who knows? Didn't know this one was happening either until I saw the old match card there on the internet. But I'm gonna say Braun. It's not that I don't think Lashley can beat him or Lashley should win. It's just I can't see Lashley beating Braun, clean or definitively in any way, especially when Braun won that greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia and won the green title, and that's how they closed the show. I'm sure the fans over there love Braun Strowman, so we'll see what happens with that. 50-man Battle Royal. I don't know with this one, and don't think I'm getting a little racy here, but I would say Mustafa, maybe a Jinder. I'm not sure, and if it's not one of those two, I'm thinking maybe Titus. Maybe give Titus a feel-good Battle Royal win after his big fall there in Saudi Arabia back at the Greatest Royal Rumble. I don't know. Let me know. I think that'd be a good idea. So if not, maybe it'll be a shitstorm, but it could be one of these. I don't know. Either way, Titus, Mustafa, Jinder maybe are some of the people, but it's hard to pick 50 men starting in the ring at once. It's going to be a bit of a shit show. And I'm probably not even going to be able to watch a lot of this live as I'll be working during most of it. But either way, the pre-show, and why the fuck is this on the pre-show? Why is this even on the card? We should save this for, I was going to say Mania, but this is a Mania exclusive representation, fucking whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know what they're calling it. Mania equivalent, that's the word, representation. Mania equivalent, so maybe that's why it's happening here, because, this is a match that should have happened at WrestleMania. The Usos versus the Revival. I'm going to go Revival. I don't really have a reason why, but all I got to say is think about how good this match could be in a semi-co, maybe third match from the top of the card on a pay-per-view with 25 minutes. Just let that simmer and just think about how good that could have been, and then realize what we're getting, a pre-show match between them in Saudi Arabia. And we probably won't get a rematch because, I don't know, why would we get a rematch, right? But I don't know, it's been fun. I didn't think I was going to go over an hour by myself, I can tell you that much. But it's been fun, and if you guys like this episode, let me know. Send me a DM personally. I'm curious, because it's, it's a bit nerve-wracking to sit behind the mic by yourself for an hour and see what you can do, but hey, man, we got to practice. Women, men, sorry, I don't mean to single anybody out, but you know what I mean. If you don't already, give us a follow on Twitter at PWLookBack on both of those, Instagram and Twitter, that is. Follow me on Twitter at Salsa, SCELSA. You can give Donovan a follow as well at JustDon44, and Younger is at ZJVY93. If you want as well, head over to teespring.com. Get yourself a tank top, t-shirt. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if you want a backpack, let me know, because I want to put one on there. I'm just not going to do it if nobody's interested. But buy a t-shirt, support the boys. We'd appreciate it. And if you like the show, maybe take a picture and post it on some social media. Let us know you bought one. Or hey, even just snapshot the show. There you go. Take a screenshot of the show, put it in your old Instagram story, and let us know what you think. Maybe more people will check out the show. We'd appreciate that. If not, not a big deal. head over to iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, hit the 5 stars, comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to send us an email, prowrestlinglookback@gmail.com. I think that's pretty much it, guys. This is Nick. It's a Pro Wrestling LookBack Podcast, and this is the Roundtable, episode 40. Stay classy.